Hello and welcome to episode 384 of Retro Encounter, RPG Fan's weekly podcast of many topics. I'm Mike Sollosi, and here, I don't know, we're gonna get a little scary, a little dragony this episode. For the first time in 6 years, we are doing an episode on Breath of Fire, and this time it's Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter, which is the fifth one.
We haven't done any other Breath of Fires?
We did Breath of Fire 4 in 2017. It was so long ago I had to look up the year, because...
I might have been on that one, because I swear I can't not talk about the stupid series.
I think it was Alana and I, or did you join us in like part 2? Because you heard we were doing Breath of Fire 4 like a week late or something?
Yeah, it's one of those series that's to me.
You know, I have a very specific relationship with Breath of Fire, but we can get into that a little bit later. First, let's introduce the rest of the panel. You just heard Steph Sybydlo.
My D ratio is 1 in 8,192. I think that's the one that Ryu is.
Yep, then it goes down to 4096 and so on. But joining Steph and I is Aleks Franiczek.
Hey, my D ratio is over 9,000.
Wrong Dragon series.
Whoops.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's right. We'll talk about D ratios and D dives and possibly other Ds.
There's a lot of Ds in this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of like One Piece initials in this game.
I was hoping to make that joke much later, but I think it's just going to come up a lot anyway.
I mean, everyone in this game seems to want a better D. It's just one.
Oh my god, this is already ridiculous. Oh my god.
Well, it's gonna get more ridiculous because I don't think this game plays by many rules.
It does not.
But we'll get to it very soon. Again, this episode is about Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter, called Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarter in Japanese. And you know, we don't like to talk about Breath of Fire 6. We did do 2 episodes on Breath of Fire 4 several years ago. And that was really the last time I played a Breath of Fire game. I'll just dive into it right now. I am a huge Capcom fan. I consider like Street Fighter and Mega Man and Monster Hunter among my favorite series of all time. I love a lot of Capcom games. And I've tried to play every Breath of Fire game at one time or another, but I only finished a couple of them. Like I played Breath of Fire 2, oh boy, between 20 and 25 years ago, on Super Nintendo. That game is brutal, but very colorful and fun. I have a positive memory of that. And then
the human splicing stuff is just so satisfying.
It's a really fun system.
New character. I was obsessed with that when I was a little girl, when like the pretty Nina became an even prettier Princess Angel thingy, and I was like, wow, you know, because I was really young and I thought princesses were cool.
No, I love turning Cat into like a blue super cat.
Yeah, she turned into a super. The frog, he goes from like that kind of chef, you know, that very chef and round frame, to like a super knight. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah, no, his silhouette goes from like chubby frog to Battletoad.
Yeah, with the Battletoad. Yeah,
but and I remember the how the shaman system worked. Except I think everyone had to look up online how to get the Earth Shaman, because it was
that one was
ridiculous.
Really obscure. Yeah,
but anyway, we're not talking about Breath of Fire 2. I've attempted Breath of Fire 1 and 3 over the years. Got, I don't know, maybe 10 hours deep at various times. But neither of them clicked with me as much as 2 or 4. But I really did enjoy 4 on the playing it for the podcast many years ago. And again, I can go pretty deep talking about Breath of Fire 2 shaman combinations if I'm forced to. And I don't know if this
I just did that right now.
Exactly.
Let's talk thoroughly about Breath of Fire 5.
Well, Steph, before we get to 5, what's your background with Breath of Fire? It sounds like you've enjoyed most, if not all of them.
Yeah, no, for the longest time, like I was playing those games as they were coming out and renting them. So it's just always been around me. I was always getting the games when they were coming out. It was like the first PS1 game I saw being played. And yeah, so just, and kind of like you were talking about, like loving Capcom, like I distinctly remember being in the PlayStation 1 era and being like, Capcom is my favorite developer. Yeah, and that's always kind of changed throughout the years, but like I distinctly remember just being so in love with this developer.
No, I mean,
a lot of what they did.
Yeah, it's similar to me. Like, I loved Mega Man and Street Fighter, and I always thought of Capcom as the Mega Man and Street Fighter guys.
It's them being both like artistically competent and, you know, game design competent, and I think you get a lot of that with Breath of Fire 5.
Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
And a lot of people did not and do not appreciate it, and I am actually mad at super fans of the series who cut off the final Breath of Fire 5. because I think it's such a brilliant game.
All right, well, we will talk about Breath of Fire 5 in detail soon, but first, Alex, what is your personal history with Breath of Fire?
So a bit less history than you two, it sounds like, but I have played a couple of them. The odd numbers at this point now. I've played 1,
I love when that
3,
happens.
and 5. Yeah.
Wait, oh wow, so you've played all the odd ones, and I've only played the even ones.
Yeah, that's
and,
funny.
and Steph has played all of them.
Just all of
this
them.
is this is
Give them all
incredible.
hugs.
Oh man, we need a fourth panelist that hasn't played any of them before, and then it would be perfect.
And there's only 3 of us here today, as opposed to like 4 or 5. So we're part of a super club of people who get it. Okay, and to anyone joining this podcast, you are the privileged few. Who,
This is what we call one of those intimate episodes, where it's like maybe there won't be as many voices, but at least there are 3 good ones.
We're like touching our mustaches and putting our finger on our chin all the time as we discuss these things and take a sip of our
sipping on our scotch.
That's just how I record every podcast.
And eating a marshmallow.
Smoking a cigar.
Steph is not smoking a cigar. Steph is okay. Never mind.
It's legal in Canada.
Hey.
I can talk about it.
That is a topic for another episode.
More points for Canada.
Do we have a 420 podcast celebrating Fire Emblem's
birthday?
Boy,
oh my god. All right. You laugh, but episode 420 is probably about a year away. So
I'll be there.
All right. Anyway, Alex, continue if we interrupted your thought. I'm sorry.
Oh, no problem. I was just gonna say, Breath of Fire was one of the JRPGs we actually owned on the Super Nintendo. That my older brothers owned. I was quite a bit younger. It was pretty good. I loved the title of it when I was a little kid. It had dragons in it. I was really loved the idea
title for a series
of this
dragons,
game.
Right?
Yeah.
Better than Dragon's Dogma, for Pete's sake. I like that game too, though, so don't hate me.
It's not a Dragon Age or Dragon's Dogma or Dragon Quest or what was the other dragon thing we said before?
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there are a lot of Dragon video games and other things. So it's kind of cool that Capcom's Dragon RPG is called Breath of Fire instead.
Yeah, they took the metaphorical route, and I applaud them for that. But yeah, I liked 1, never finished it, was too young, didn't really get into it. Then I played 3 when I was a decent amount older, and I loved that game. Thought it was really cool, the whole generational kind of storytelling around it.
Eat all the sprites in that game,
oh my god, and Ray, the cat guy, what an NPC. What a buddy.
I love how chunky his tail is too. I just want to play with all these characters and their ears and all that stuff. I love the non-human party that you get in these games.
Yeah, and I mean, what's the name of the cat people in this game? Dog people are called grass runners.
Yeah.
And cat people are called Warren. That's it, Warrens. Yeah. The Warrens in this game, they're never a specific kind of cat. Like Cat from Breath of Fire 2 has a thinner tail and a thinner frame, but then Ray and and the guy from Breath of Fire 4 are
just chunky.
Cray. That's it. Yeah, Ray and Cray are thicker guys with thicker tails, and Lynn in this game is quite slender, but her tail is a little bit poofier than like a very thin house cat tail. It's almost like a, I don't know, like a civet or a snow leopard or something.
It's got that 3D SD graphic that they did with Final Fantasy IX, where it's the hands are super gigantic and the heads are pretty big and the limbs are pretty narrow.
I think that might be a Capcom thing.
It's a stylistic choice. They definitely went very scrawny in this game.
They definitely have large hands, feet, and heads in Dragon Quarter for sure, but it should just exaggerate certain features to make them seem less weird and more expressive. But when you're talking about the animations in Breath of Fire 3, I could do a whole nother episode on the character animations in Breath of Fire 4. They are so good in that game. But Capcom's animation teams were really on another level in the 90s and early 2000s.
Really.
Yeah, but Capcom, a storied developer that's made a bunch of great series over the years. This was the last Breath of Fire game for a long time. Breath of Fire 6 was perhaps infamously a mobile-only title that I believe ended its service about a year after it started. Maybe it made to 2 years. But I don't hear very many kind words about that game nowadays, unfortunately.
It had good music, though.
Oh, did it? Do you know who the composer was? It has really good
music if you ever wanted to YouTube it or whatever. Or
that's probably worth a YouTube Safari at least.
Yeah.
But Breath of Fire 5, makes a couple very interesting changes. Like
Yeah.
quirks aside of like human and non-human characters, a lot of bold, bright colors and different silhouettes for your playable characters. Like that's true of all the excuse me, true of all the Breath of Fire games. I'm going to accidentally say either Dragon Quest instead of Dragon Quarter and Fire Emblem instead of Breath of Fire at least 8 times. I apologize in advance, but all the Breath of Fire games have those things in common. But Breath of Fire 5 is less of a traditional RPG compared to the previous four. Because the previous four, you
Pretty
meet your
straightforward.
pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. It's you meet your allies. It's dungeon town, explore nonsense on the world map.
Yeah.
Then they have things that make them more unique than the most base level of RPG. But they're sort of more traditional than 5.
You could turn into a dragon. That was always the selling point,
There's
right?
there's always
Yay.
a main character named Ryu that can turn into a dragon, and a
Yeah.
girl with wings named Nina that can cast magic, and then that's where some of the coincidences end. There's
And
usually
Ryu could never say anything. He was a silent protagonist.
until
Mhm.
now, yeah.
Till now. And then they just, completely flipped the role, sort of.
There's also
Right.
at least 2 characters named Bosch in these games, because I think there's a dog man named Bo in Breath of
Yeah.
Fire 2, and his Japanese name is Bosch.
Yeah.
It's Bosch Doggy, actually, is his full name. So when I saw that one of the mains in this game was named Bosch, I was wondering if he was secretly a dog or if there was
I
a
mean,
connection
that
there.
checks out because he is a little government lapdog, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Woohoo.
Oh, I have some thoughts on that fella. But yeah, Breath of Fire 5 is less traditional than those other games.
It's clearly the intent was to flip it on its head, and they even write down to its heroes a little bit as atypical. Well,
Yeah.
not atypical, but a little inverted.
And you really do lose if part of the reason that you loved those earlier games so much was because of those colorful, fluffy
Right.
characters. You're not getting that in Dragon Quarter. The fluffiness is highly toned down.
Yeah, this game is bleak.
Yeah.
The first thing I thought of while I was playing it for the first time was, oh no, I'm playing Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne again.
It kind of is, right?
yeah,
It's like
Mhm.
that mode.
Yeah, they're from around the same time. I think
Yeah.
Nocturne is 02 and this game is 03, or maybe the reverse. But that game is also sort of a dystopian world. A lot of sort of industrial or ornate dungeons that are dimly lit. Monsters that are borderline horror, or borderline body horror even. But I mean, but Shin Megami Tensei has its own conventions, and Breath of Fire has their own. But for the most part, you are just going through labyrinthine dungeons until you can find the next save point, or the next town area, or the next elevator to another floor. And again, I'm not super far in this game yet. I'm less than 10 hours in, probably closer to 5 hours in, and I think I played the first hour and a half. Let's say I think the first hour took me 5 hours.
Right?
Because I just
Yeah, I think it's pretty much, I don't want to say necessary, but most people will probably restart the game in the first little while.
I had to
That
restart a couple
first trap
times.
room.
Yeah, at least a couple times before you might really get far in your journey.
The first trap room burned me. I tried to
Yeah.
kill a giant mouse bull thing on my own when I shouldn't have. I got swarmed
Those mouse
by
balls, man.
yeah, I got swarmed by like 8 bats when I think I was supposed to lure them with bait and then throw bombs at them. But I just sort of just walked down the stairs and ran into a bunch of bats like a chump.
I know that bat room you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. Again, no, it's like the first 30 minutes of the game here.
Oh,
I'm
the
not.
room.
I am not. I'm not trying to cut an impressive figure here. But yeah, this game is dark and challenging and weird. You start out as 2 boys named Ryu and Bosch. They're with a group called the Rangers, and which seem to do sort of either both military missions and odd jobs for the community that they support. Again, I'm speaking in vagaries here on purpose. You have an assignment to escort some cargo and be guards on a lift train for a while. You end up having to, but the elevator down to the lift is jammed, so you have to go down there yourself. Basically, the first dungeon of the game where you learn how to play. And in the process of learning how to play, I was struggling because this game.
It's hard.
Yeah, no, this game
Throws
is
you into it.
it throws you right into it, and it's challenging from the get-go. Like, you can die. That mouse bull thing that killed me is probably one of the first 8 encounters, full stop.
There's a lot of encounters where I'm sweating, like I'm like, okay, I don't know if I have enough to get through it, like it's kind of exhilarating in that sense.
Yeah, and then it makes you decision like, oh, do I like try to run for like a door so I can escape this, or but then I already use like so many items, so do I try to like push
Yeah.
through? It's like a big kind of risk management going on all the time with the dungeon crawling.
Yeah.
A lot of RPGs have that balance of risk management, like go as far as I can away from town, but then when I run out of MP or resources, go back to town, heal, and try again, and you're a little bit stronger this time. But Dragon Quarter deliberately pulls the rug out from you a little bit because there's no ins, there's no safe, cheap way to heal to full in a safe
Mhm.
space.
Yeah.
The items you buy are it.
They do want to give you a lot of assets. So I do like when a game makes things hard, but they will throw a lot of assets your way to make the struggle. They want you to use the assets they give you to lessen the load.
Yes, I mean I was talking about bait and bombs
Yep.
a little while ago.
They got like skill combos and like, attacks that change as well depending on how you use them.
And like
Yeah, Nina's
building your own
traps.
like combos based on like what buttons you assign them to as well.
Yeah.
And enemies can ambush you, but you can also ambush enemies to get bonus turns.
Yeah.
There's and
There's a
again,
tactical element. Oh my god, I always forget
it no,
that
it
part of
is.
it.
When I was doing the boss fights for the first time, well, any random battle for the first time, I'm going to be comparing this game in terms of other games this entire episode. I'm sorry. It felt like I was playing Makai Kingdom or Phantom Brave because there's not a tactical grid, but moving costs action points, acting costs action points, but you have a finite number of action points. You're not limited by a magic resource like MP, but it's a little bit like Valkyria Chronicle, I guess, as well. But you basically can do a lot within the sort of timing resource that you're given. And if you plan out encounters and do things like set bait, get that advantageous hit on an enemy, maybe throw a bomb at them first, um, you can nail every encounter. But again, it's hard, and sometimes you'll fight an enemy. It'll come like that first trap room you mentioned, which is before you even get to I guess it's towards the end of the first section of dungeon,
Mhm.
but before you get on the train, uh you can sort of go into that and not realize the enemy weaknesses or not realize how many enemies are there, and you'll be like, oh, because of, like, there's limited vision and draw distance in this game, and you'll like see one enemy, try to ambush it, but you'll take a few steps too far, and oh no, there are four here, and then you
Oh
have
yeah,
to.
I've yelped a few times just from like a little surprise, like ah.
Yeah, little jump scares like that.
Yeah, like jump scares, whether it's a spider falling from the ceiling,
Oh
or
god, the
or
spiders
or
are
you
really
or you
scary.
think there's one enemy but there's four. Like there again, we'll talk about how this game is like a roguelike later, but
Yeah,
this gave me vibes of certain tactical RPGs.
right.
It gave me a Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne vibe from the 3D models and how just bleak and challenging it is, but also a little bit of survival horror and a little bit of
Yeah.
Souls like.
I can't believe how well it mixed, yeah, like previous Capcom stuff, like the Resident Evil mode of horror survival into the mix, because it worked it pretty effectively. And I even love how it also ties into the narrative and everything as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like everything about this game just feels kind of well thought out. Like, yeah, between the horror survival and being trapped down and you needing to escape out of it. I think that's
Yeah.
such a cool and clever mechanic. Like, it actually feels something immediate is really much on the line. The other games have you really kind of sit and stew with the worlds and like, you help villages with their problems and shit. But this one is like feels like a real call to the player to shape up and really get thrown into it instead of steeped into it.
Yeah, like the whole like scope of the game and like its structure is not like big by any means. Like it's quite
Yeah, it's very
simple in
linear.
terms of like you're basically going down corridors. Maybe you'll get like some slight variations sometimes, but other than that, you're just kind of like managing like all your encounters. You're like managing your resources, making sure that you're stocked well enough to get like to the end of the given level you're doing, and then
Just to get to the end.
yeah, exactly. And then there's like
God,
this
please.
constant like feeling like stress and like, oh, like should I even like do this encounter? Or should I throw meat to like try to like distract the enemies so I can get around them? Maybe there's a safe point around the corner, maybe not. But
Do you find the victory theme just like very strangely relieving to hear? Like it actually
oh
is
yeah,
very, soothing on the soul. Like I did it.
Yeah, no, because this game is so dangerous and is always trying to kill you. Um, a reprieve, like going back to town is so relaxing. It's like hearing the music of Tristram after you've gotten
Oh
a little
yeah.
too far under the cathedral in Diablo 1 or something.
You go from this place is a little moody to, oh my god, thank God this place exists.
And like the break areas like aren't even like really relaxing places. Like they're
No.
Not especially.
yeah, like they're all like a refugee camp where people are like struggling to like make
Yeah.
by, or like a
The
little
really poor area, and then
yeah.
like it kind of gets better as you climb up.
Yeah,
It's
every
interesting.
part of this game, again, I'm not super far, is either like a slum, a factory level, or a sewer level.
Yeah.
And that's, cool in some ways, but also it's like, man, I wish there was, you know, a bright color other than Ryu's hair and Lynn's clothes.
Oh,
Yeah,
But it
the
don't
was
worry.
character designs are at least bright.
I
they
love
are
the designs.
and otherwise maybe they would be hard to see on screen,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
me accidentally running into swarms of rats and bats.
Like, I can't even tell you how minor I love something small, like having four, beautiful pastel blue hair colored Ryus, and then going to this really deep navy color for this one. And then he's got that contrasting orange that like really pops in the dark. And some of those teal colors, like it's just a really cool looking main character. And I remember being totally surprised by it the first time I saw it, where we went from these kind of puffy, panted heroes, with their swords, to this lanky guy with the cropped coat and very distinguished,
Yeah,
orange
he looks like sickly
line.
almost. Like he's so like skinny, and like his body shape is like so like almost like
No.
alien like in its proportions, that and his big like bug eyes, like this
Yeah,
guy
just
does not look like he's doing very great health wise, but
all of them look kind of shocked at the state of the world they've been born into. It's
Well,
like, oh
okay,
god, this sucks.
three things. First of all, those proportions are. I mean, to me, they just look like video game people. So I'm not. I guess I'm not shocked by the proportions, but because I've seen video game characters of every proportion. Um, this gives me a slight Mega Man Legends vibe with how big and the heads are and how round the eyes are. Second, it would not be a Steph Sybydlo podcast without some fashion and color palette discussion.
Must,
And
must, must.
yeah, and third, they even tie Ryu's, I don't know, sickly waifishness into the story a little bit, because
Mhm.
we've been dancing around it. This society is part of it, lives with a caste system
Yeah.
where everybody has a ratio called the D ratio, a number called a D ratio on the back of their neck, that and people use that D ratio basically as
All of it.
yeah, basically
Yeah.
as a form of classism. Like people that with bad D ratios are considered low potential with bad health outcomes, but people with high D ratios are considered just better people, more like
We
with more
basically get a D
potential.
ratio for all the major characters too, so it's like a bit of a storytelling device to kind of tell you,
It's like a power level.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
right. And Ryu's D ratio is pathetically low. It's 1/8192.
Yeah, so he's going nowhere in life. So him being a little gangly just kind of works. He's a
Mhm.
runt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but and
he's
then
just
his partner at the beginning of the game, Bosch, has a ratio of 1/64,
which is
which
better
is
than his boss.
which is better than his boss. And Bosch mentions his ratio whenever he introduces himself. He's like, "Hi, my name is Bosch, 1/64th," and
Yeah.
uh, and and he even like waves it in front of his boss. And at one point telling her, "Look, we all know that I'm gonna eventually outrank you, so you should give me a good mission so I can pay it forward when I'm famous someday." And
Yeah.
it's like he says this without irony, and talks down to Ryu all the time, which you don't see like ratio abuse openly at the beginning of the game, but you do see the basically people living in impoverished slums, and Bosch waving around his D ratio with every line of dialogue that really communicates like, oh, this society is not doing well. They even talk about how in one part of the world they painted the ceiling blue
Yeah, to
because
look like
because
the sky.
evidently there was a thing called the sky that used to have we used to have that instead of a ceiling, and it was blue.
Yeah. This is like some of the art book stuff, but like Lynn's doesn't have a D ratio because obviously she's hers has been scrubbed because she's opposed to the government. Yeah, when you work with Trinity, and Nina's is so low that it doesn't even warrant bringing up because like she's meant to be like fodder for
Yeah, I thought she wasn't even considered like a person by like
yeah.
most of the people
Yeah,
in the games
I think they
world.
even call her like an experiment. It's like, oh, you found the experiment. Yeah, and they just
Yeah,
don't
it's
even
like
treat
Yeah,
her
they like
human.
refer to her as like an it.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like so it's like one of those super low exponents in a chemistry equation that's so close to zero you can just assume it's zero.
Okay, here, this is the note. Nina, okay, so Nina's D ratio is unknown, but according to the director, it's so incredibly low to the point where Nina could only live in the lowest slums of the shelter where a missing girl would not be noticed. God damn, that's bleak.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
this whole game is bleak and challenging and dark, but embraces every part of that. And we mentioned this a little bit, how this game is like a roguelike. It's
Mhm.
because again, it's easy to die in this game, and when you do die, you start at the beginning or start at the last place you saved.
Yeah.
But saving is very limited in this game. You have save tokens, and you have to spend items to do a perma save. But if you really need to get off your PS2 and do something else, you can use a temp save that isn't like a real. It's not a real hard save point. It's
I
one that you can
hate
only
games that have that system. It just makes me confused and feel stupid.
Yeah, it reminds me of how like the original version of, I think it was Lunar 2, or maybe it was the original Lunar, that had like you had to use items to save, and like they punished you for saving too much. Um again, that just makes like 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 when you get to a payphone and you only have a couple save tokens, it's like, is this going to be worth it? Do I need to save this for later?
No.
And also if
Is
but
there a boss?
yeah, but
I'm
if you
scared.
die, you can either start from the beginning of the game or go back to your save point, but you get to or you can use an item to teleport back to the save point, but then you lose half of your money and half of your bonus experience.
I hate when they do the take away money thingies. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, it's
Like the one thing I need.
yeah, it's like Pokemon vibes of defeating a trainer and then mugging them afterwards. It's like, except you're the one getting mugged. It's again, this game punishes you in ways that RPGs don't usually do. Normally you can save without using any resources and heal your HP at an inn or a hot spring or something without using any resources. But Dragon Quarter has no permanent heals, limited saves, and if you die, you lose almost everything. But if you had something stored in a locker, or if you had an item equipped, you do get to keep those. So this game's not impossible. There is growth. You don't start from level 1 every time. So it's not a true roguelike.
I mean, they give you the
but
best cheating device in the entire game, which is, the beautiful, D counter that again serves as a beautiful double-edged sword.
Oh,
to
that's
use,
right.
which
Yeah.
I love. I love that they just don't let you use that freely, and they put such a big hanging issue with it.
And that it's always lingering on like part of your screen.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah. After the first boss fight of the game, you get Ryu awakens to dragon powers, which are definitely connected to the dragon corpse that him and Bosch found an hour or so earlier. Although I don't know exactly how they're related, because again, I'm not
really
far
cool
enough
to
yet.
show a decaying like dragon corpse like that. Like that was pretty vivid.
Yeah, especially
I was
after
like,
you've
ooh.
played like earlier games and like how like glorious the dragons
yeah, they're
once were. It's
beautiful,
one of
yeah.
the coolest ways that they like harken back to those games. It's just like look at what the world has become.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when they look at it, Bosch is like, "What? I've never seen a Genic like that before." And Genics are their words for the mutant monsters that you're fighting. So they don't even have a concept of what a dragon is. But people that know that this game is called Breath of Fire will be like, "Oh, that's a dragon. That's going to be important eventually." But it
I
doesn't
only
really
just
occur to them.
noticed that Nina's tattoos match the Genix.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the Genics were the results of experiments, and Nina was
Yeah.
experimented on.
Yeah, and I love the twist to her wings too. Like it's not your pretty, like even in Breath of Fire 2, where she's cursed with these, awful black wings of misfortune. Like they're so beautiful. They're purple and blue.
Yeah,
and, like, all
I
the
mean,
colors.
She's in Breath of Fire 2, it's like she's beautiful and her wings are beautiful, but she's like,
She's
oh,
like,
my
"I'm sad."
my wings are such an eyesore.
It's like, okay.
This time around, like the wings were clearly they're clearly not natural.
They literally look like they're inverted on, and like they don't look natural, and they're like a blood red, shiny, burning color. It's so creepy.
They
It's
look
wonderful.
they look membranous, like someone
Yeah.
ripped off most of a dragonfly's wings or something.
Or yeah, even like a bird when you take off the feathers, and it's just that kind of chicken wing hanging there. Yeah.
They're not beautiful angel wings. This game it takes place in a dystopia. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's following some ancient event or ancient apocalypse, like Shin Megami Tensei 3, or if this is just it's or if it just doesn't matter and this is the only world that they know and they're trying to escape it because
So a sort of fun mechanic to the game is that whole deratio system, so that
Yeah.
if you improve your deratio, through multiple playthroughs, you're going to be privileged to more information about the story.
That's right.
I forgot.
After the first time I died,
Yeah.
I played
Oh,
through the
yeah,
game
you gave me
again,
the
and
scene.
I got a couple extra cutscenes,
Yep.
including that one where Bosch talks back to his captain, which
Yeah.
Ryu is not present for.
That's right.
So
yeah.
like I don't think this has happened to me yet because I've
Did anyone
died.
get a kick of that it's called SOL system?
Yeah. Oh my god.
I was like, come on, it's too appropriate.
Yeah. It's I don't think it's probably, what is it? I don't remember what it actually stands for. Is it like save?
System overlay
Scenario
or something.
overlay?
Yeah,
It-
scenario overlay. Yeah.
Yeah, scenario overlay, but really this game does leave you out of luck a couple times.
Yeah.
But again, this game, like a Souls game or like a roguelike game, is a game about learning. Like they want you to master these systems and how to survive basic encounters until you're good enough to peep around every corner and use items like bait and dynamite well, and have and optimize your combos and learn the different teamwork between Ryu, Nina, and Lin. Again, I don't know if you guys have played Radiant Historia.
Oh yeah.
But one of my favorite things to do in that game is there's a character that makes elemental bombs on the map, and then you can use characters pull and push moves to like shove them into bombs.
Yeah.
Nina is able to make these exploding fire circles, and I've done a lot of encounters where it's like retreat from the enemy. Nina plants a circle, enemy just keeps walking into circles until they burn to death. Like
haha, you idiots.
I've done that too many times for it not to be a thing. But this game wants you to approach encountering enemies and fighting enemies very carefully and tactically, and that on top of this game's well above average challenge level makes me it's like it's stressful, and sometimes good stressful, sometimes less good stressful.
Like a lot of the time, especially like on repeated runs, I'm like, oh my god, it's this encounter. Oh no, it's this encounter, and I'm just like kind of dying a little bit.
At one point, this is like not the very beginning of the game, but like the second save point you find, I was just so worried about how it would go. I spent all of my money on healing items, put them in my locker, deliberately died a couple times and put things in my locker again just so I would have a bank of healing items to go back to.
Oh, not a bad idea.
So my death counter is already over 10, but I don't care. I'm just trying to get through this game. I'm not trying to speed. I'm not a pro speed runner. I'm quite the opposite.
I've been playing very, very slowly, and I've only died that first time in that first trap room, but otherwise I'm just like really trying like manage my pace, like trying to like do like only one or two enemy pulls at a time, so that I like don't like can basically attack them and kill them before like they can even attack me at least like more than once. And so in that sense, I've been able to like very slowly grind through this game without dying too much, and it's been like constant stress, constant engagement. Had to use like the D ratio a couple times.
Like the rest of them you'll get through.
It's the only game like this.
Yeah.
No, again, I really do think this is like this is an early 2000s roguelike in how the death and retrying mechanics work, but also like a lot of Souls games, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, etc., have that same approach to death as a learning experience, and they want you to master your abilities and learn the environment and learn the enemies to keep going.
Except my abilities as Ryu is just like spamming the one slash move. Like I love the way it sounds consecutively. It's just ha 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 ha.
There's this one weapon you can get that has like really high like damage, but you can only use slice with it. Like you can't customize.
And I'm like, deal, no problem. There's also one of the treasure boxes in this game that just always cracks me up, and it's like obtained blunt. It's like a blunt object.
Oh wow!
Die.
Of course, that would be your favorite treasure chest stuff.
Of course, whatever.
But just go into one of these dank corners and smoke it. Try to
I'm
chill
very
out.
stressed out right now. Oh no, this would not be a good game to play whilst
No,
under the influence. This
no,
would just
you
make me
you
even
need to
more
have
panicked.
you need to have your you would get way too paranoid, and you want your
Yeah.
senses at least a little bit sharp to deal with this. Because again, I would
It's
get
just stress.
well, every time I died not on purpose in this game, it was because I underestimated the space in front of me. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I thought this would be one spider. It's actually three spiders. I think there was a little mouse behind her. No, it's two little mice and one gigantic mouse that goes up to the ceiling. Like it's and I think this game wants you to struggle, but then come out stronger for it, and that's admirable. And
It's
a lot
the
of
journey, man. Like it really wants you to feel the struggle with the character, and I respect that so much. It's not like an easy RPG. The journey is not easy, and they don't want the game to be easy.
I'm not a Souls expert. I've only played one Souls game, but which I really liked. And but that was the same feeling that game got. That game
Yeah.
gave to me the same feeling. It's like you are very powerful, but the enemies are very powerful. Like this game is challenging, but it wants you to learn and grow from the challenge.
Yeah.
And
And
it gives me the same vibe here, but also it's just I'm not sure I want all this stress all the time.
I
I
know.
like I'm going slowly through this game, and I genuinely fear that I won't be I won't be able to finish it next week because again I have some busy nights unrelated to
Yeah.
video games ahead of me, and
Yeah.
this is just not a gentle RPG that just lets you watch numbers go up and then heal to full and try again.
I remember like when I quit too, about like 80% of the way through, like I was just out of items. I was, just getting slaughtered. I was like, oh my God, and I didn't know how much longer it was going to go on for. And I restarted like 80% of the way through.
Started from
Just
the
to have an
beginning.
easier go of the next one. Yeah, just have an easier go of it again.
Oh,
I think
know.
get to see some new cutscenes, I'm sure, so it works out.
Yeah.
And like speaking of like comparisons, it's like Hades. Like what everybody loved that Hades did was that when you start a new playthrough, you'd see new narrative content. That's
Yeah.
exactly what this game was doing like 20 years before with the
Yeah.
scenario overlay system.
yeah, I mean Hades gives you more ways to strengthen yourself between runs, but that I mean Hades again one of my favorite games of the last 5 years. Rewards you with narrative content from effort, and also rewards you with growth from effort.
Yeah, oh
And
yeah.
and Breath of Fire again is a game that's what Hades was 2020 and this is 2002, so there's a little bit of a
I think it kind of goes with that like Zelda approach where it's like it's a little easier if you know what to expect on that second run, and you kind of know how
yes
to prepare accordingly a bit more. You're less in the dark.
that's part of these challenging games. It's like
Live
now
annoyed.
now I know now I know what this enemy will do. I know that there's an ambush here. I know that there's a danger room here. I know
Yeah.
that there's four mutant rats here, so I should try to pull them and alert
Isn't
them
it
one at a
satisfying when you beat a
time.
hard room and they give you some sick weapon too, and you're like, yes, and it just kind of
Yeah,
feels good when you get like some big chunky weapon at the end of the trial. Like this game knows how to make you feel good. It does know how to offer that bit of, endorphins.
Dragon Quarter understands risk and reward very brilliantly, but I
And it
mean,
gives you some of the most hopeful and beautiful music to kind of like really seal into your heart that this journey is worth it.
that's true. I wasn't aware until I started playing this that this was a Hitoshi Sakimoto soundtrack. But one of you guys
Right?
mentioned it to me off air before I was very far into the game, and then when I paid more attention to the music, I'm like, oh, this
Yep.
really does
That's
sound
him.
like Final Fantasy Tactics or Vagrant Story, and
Yeah.
in an extremely good way. Like the soundtrack is excellent.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also like it has like tons of elements from those games, but unlike them, it's not like a fantasy. It's like kind of more sci-fi in a way, and there's a lot more kind of like electronic like synths and kind of like spacey
Very
noises and things
atmospheric
like
and
that.
moody.
Yeah. So you get
Yeah.
like all those classic like Sakimoto like power rhythms with like strings and horns, but you also
Yeah.
get like these nice like vibey electronic tunes as well. So really killer soundtrack and maybe my favorite that Sakimoto's done.
Oh, I don't
Kinda,
know if it's my
right?
favorite Sakimoto only
Oh,
because I love Final Fantasy Tactics so much. But you do get
I
those
think this
at the
plays to a lot of the strengths of that soundtrack. Like it's still like this is sort of what I was getting at in some of my notes, and like I was actually just listening to the soundtrack before we started up the podcast. I can't find the notes. Like a lot of it, with Sakamoto's background in fantasy stuff, like it's kind of cool that he incorporated something that for a that was once a fantasy series that is trying to be sci-fi right a bit right now, and a bit more cyberpunky. So I think it's kind of cool. It's a bit of a fusion of both. And it's nice that we've seen, Sakimoto and Base Escape go and take on like, more sci-fi stuff with 13 Sentinels.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
he's got
Mhm.
that power for it. And I think he even started out with doing a few sci-fi tracks as well. So it's kind of great to see it come back full circle, kind of
Yeah,
what
I
this one's a
think that
vintage
maybe this is an overgeneralization, but I think that you hear the more like the more horns with strings,
for battle.
during battle, and then the more
Yeah.
atmospheric, crunchy,
Yes.
Yes.
sci-fi flavored ones when you're sneaking around the dungeon, and that I think that sort of enhances each of those scenarios. Like in battle, I am like my blood is pumping. I am trying to concentrate. I'm inching Nina forward, so I use exactly the minimum amount of AP when I'm moving before I have her
Oh, I love that when you're just like
cast her spell.
tiptoeing after a little while.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
just
Yeah.
trying to get right to
yay!
0
Yeah.
AP.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tactical. It's smart.
But if you do wait, you do save all of your AP for the next turn. So
Yeah.
if you want a giant combo, then like just waiting a turn is not a bad idea. Especially with Lynn, because a lot of Lynn's gun moves will enhance the next move. So like she's way better if she gets a long chain combo compared to at least compared to Rio from my experience. But I'm far from an expert here. Again, I'm having a rough time in this game, but and it doesn't help that when you finally get the cool dragon power, we mentioned this before, it's like, oh great, this will make the battles easier, but then the more you use the dragon power, the more your dive meter goes up, and if it gets to 100, it's game over, right?
Yeah. Oh, you
Mhm.
haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet?
No,
Just out of
no,
curiosity?
I've seen the meter and I
Okay.
saw it going up, so I looked up what it did, and then I was like,
Okay.
oh no,
Yeah.
okay, I gotta keep this under 65 or whatever I have it at now.
Breath of Fire as a series has never shied away from like kind of graphic stuff, even if it's just like little sprite depictions, like and it was in the
Oh yeah,
first
no,
four games. But
there's a full on body horror end game thing in Breath of Fire
yeah,
4 that's quite disturbing. But again, this game,
spoiler alert, there's a few, but I'll leave
yeah,
that.
there's like creepy mutants
Yeah,
and again, this is a possibly a post-apocalypse, definitely a dystopia with fantasy and sci-fi elements. But when you turn into a dragon in this game, it isn't a cool power reprieve that just has a meter go down to 0. It has your meter go up and possibly kill you. Like even like there's no safety of a village with an inn or power
yeah.
fantasy of turning into a dragon in this game. It's just punishing.
And it goes up just ever so slowly, even if you're just walking. So you can't just like sit in one spot cozily forever. Like this is a
Yeah.
race against. It's a very slow counter. Like don't get me wrong. I think if you just walk through the entire game, the counter only goes up like I don't know, 5 to 10%. Like it's not that big a deal, but it's still enough that it goes up a little bit just while you're walking around, just to kind of itch at your mind.
Yeah, it feels like 0.01% like every 5 to 10 seconds or something like that, which just
Yeah,
makes like if you are just like kind of wanting to like get all like the treasure keys to get like chests which unlock like unique
yeah,
abilities for
cool
the
stuff.
different
Yeah,
characters you can equip, then you will be doing like backtracking and you will be seeing that meter go up a bit. So it is really constantly on the mind, which is just
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, and I don't think they tell you that it kills you. They tell you, oh, don't
No.
be. They tell you make sure not to use the D dive too much. But then like if it goes up to 100, you die, and it's like, oh, that's what that meter
I
is for.
forget what's the cost of the skills. Actually, I kind of want to see this.
I think like the regular
It's like
dragon
two.
attack is like 1%.
1%, yeah.
And
And
I
it's
think
pretty
that
tough. Like it is a good like alternative to how many difficult things the game throws at you. It is your crutch, and it is a really good one. You will win the battle.
yeah, because like dying in this game does because that does set you back so much. It's like if you're facing like death, it's like,
Yep.
oh yeah, of course I'm going to turn into a dragon because I don't want to die.
I don't
But
want
then
to
it's just
die.
like incredibly and beautifully ironic that that ends up slowly killing you as well.
Right? So I love that give and take. Like this game really I like it. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna drop my one F bomb, but this game really wants to with you. I love it.
Yes, I mean, it takes something that's normal about a JRPG. Again, like you go out and explore as much as you can, then you go back to heal. Go out and explore
Hmm.
as much as you can, and go back to heal. But then it takes away some of the things that are comforting and safe about JRPGs.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Good
so
way to put it.
so by increasing the risk factor so much, then the moments of reward feel great. But
Yeah.
also, but this is a game that's deliberately oppressive and wants you to die. When sometimes I feel like RPGs are cozy and friendly and want me to succeed. So again, this is not and I don't play a lot of roguelikes, and I've played exactly one Souls-like. So this is not a new experience for me, but it's a slightly stressful experience.
I do like how every cutscene feels like a very nice relief, where there aren't too
Mm.
many, and every time you do get a cutscene, it feels like it does give you very good and relevant information to either character or world or like just, motivation and all that stuff and just establishing. So like I feel nothing is really wasted in this game. Oh, do you guys like that little filter that flickers when like every cutscene starts? It's very like a security camera looking.
Yeah, yeah.
I always love that. Like this was probably the first game that really made me realize like creative design and like kind of establishing a whole like world and atmosphere for your game that really sells it. That kind of high tech future look, which is kind of downrodden but still kind of modern looking. Like it's such a cool aesthetic that they tried to nail all in one.
Yeah, and the cutscenes are like they're so like beautifully like shot too. Like everything is like very
Yeah.
deliberate. Like it'll be like either like static shots of like characters that uses like space in some interesting way, or like frames like a
Your
couple of
input
characters
name is like
together.
your card, like your ranger card. I thought was cool.
Yeah, yeah. Or
I feel like that Makoto Ikehara and the other designers of this game have had like old Breath of Fire games were basically isometric view or top-down view RPGs, but now that he had a third-person 3D one, he was going to use the 3D as much as he could. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of like zoom to a character's face, then pull out and you see the action that took place. When you confront Bosch after you're escorting Nina and Lynn up from the slums. Ryu's like, Bosch, it's so great to see you, and it like zooms in on Ryu's face. Then you hear a stabbing sound, and they pull back, and
Mhm.
Ben Bosch's sword is inside Ryu's leg. it's like that
I
has
always
it.
think he got it like right between his knee and like the leg part, so like just jammed it
Oh
right in
yeah, no,
there.
I thought it
What a
was I thought it was right
bastard.
in I thought it was right in his upper thigh basically, but it's like you can't have
And
that
his like
kind of
face
effect.
doesn't even flinch, and when he does it, he's such a.
Yeah, but Steph, you said you were only going to use one.
Oh, I
All right,
know.
all right, all right. Well, okay.
Sorry.
George Carlin did teach us that those were different words.
Warranted for how much of a butthead he is. Bosch is just a great
Bosch the
villain that you love
butthead,
to
yeah.
hate.
No. Well, okay. Look. Well,
OMG.
no. His D ratio. The D stands for head.
And his stupid haircut, like I just want to punch him between like that bratty face, and his twerpy motivations.
All right,
and
if-
his
Yeah,
if
they,
we
they
can-
really did give him that
backstabbing.
like hateable like aristocrat kind of
yeah,
look, because
the
he is
whole
supposed to be like
thing.
from like a wealthy family and
Yeah. No.
everything.
If I
Yeah.
can tie this back to Final Fantasy Tactics again, he's the Algus of this game.
Yes.
Or okay,
Yeah.
Algus in the original translation, Argath later, whatever. But okay, but if I'm talking about different,
I hope you'll like him more than Argus by the
oh, I
end.
don't know. I'm not. I have pretty low opinions of both Bosch and Algus at this point.
I'm doing
but,
a really big winky face too, so like I don't know. I hope you like the arc where it goes.
well, speaking of where this
If you
game
get
goes,
there.
I have some questions for you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex, you're definitely further ahead than I am, and Steph, I know you've played this game before, at least most of it
Got it like
before.
memorized.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Yeah.
I have some to ask a few things. Like, does this game eventually get a little more colorful, or is every dungeon really this dark and brown?
So it's very like just like kind of industrial settings. For the most part, there was like an ice cave at one point.
The ice
Okay.
cave's nice, yeah.
There was a lab that was bright, but it was also like filled with like disturbing experiments and things like that.
It's like a pipe place. That's
Yeah, I did go to some Biocorp thing that
Yeah.
did seem like a more sanitized lab than the rest of the area. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, very grimy, lots of browns, and
I think
definitely no
y'all
sky.
will like the final dungeon though. The final dungeon, in terms of like the way it looks, and I'm gonna say especially the music, is like one of the greatest dungeon tracks. It's like a cool slow burn track, and I'm just so excited. For you to
I
hear it.
truly am having doubts I'll be able to finish this game in time, especially since I have to edit this episode between now and the next
I
time we
get you.
record. But
There's a really good long play I found on YouTube that was really easy to find. It's in great quality if you need it. I just did it because like I needed. Yeah, I just forgot like a few names. I was like, I can't remember, so I just went and checked it out there.
all right, well, that's not the only question I have. Also,
Oh, yeah.
we mentioned that the old Breath of Fire games were basically more like a traditional RPG, and how Dragon Quarter is still a JRPG but has elements of roguelike and Souls-like. Do we wish this was more like the old games, or do we wish there were more games like Dragon Quarter, or are we just happy this game exists and we can go back to playing cozy RPGs if we want to?
There is a crowd who just do not like Souls-like. I am generally one of them, and this game is weirdly one of my exceptions. And it's not out of spite or anything. It's just because they're hard, and I just don't have the time. So yeah, this game is really hard. I don't like people who say they wanted more of the same. I love when a game tries to take risks and try to do something new. And in a lot of cases, I think they succeed to the discomfort of a lot of people who are fans. But I think it's so important that they try to do different things. I'm so mad that people want like Zelda to go back to the old school style. I'm like, no, no. They
Or
did
just
that literally for
try
30
something new
years.
again, if anything. Like, why not?
Yeah, and like I think this idea would still be big if they brought it back, like a kind of roguelike, but more of a traditional RPG. And it's like a tactical, like it's just kind of a cool, perfect box of all these ideas. Like people who want something different. I mean, please, 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 I implore you to try Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter.
Well, I mean, if they've listened this far in the podcast, I hope they either have already played this or are willing to learn.
There you go. Yeah, the few actually who want, like, who want to listen to a podcast to hear about a new type of game. Kudos to you. I always find that really cool when people do that.
As someone who records a lot of podcasts and listens to a lot of podcasts, I listen to game and movie podcasts without having played the game or movie before.
I'm very 50-50
quite
on
often.
that. That's why I'm kind of bringing it up. Yeah.
Yeah. But also it helps that I care about spoilers about the least of anyone I've ever heard of. But also if something sounds unique or interesting, then maybe that will motivate me to play or watch it, because it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Is again one explanation I always use when I say I don't care about spoilers. But I have avoided spoilers on this game. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I didn't know what to say.
No, it's
okay.
fine. It's fine. I'm pretty sure I'm fighting Bosch again eventually, but otherwise,
No.
but otherwise, I'm really not sure what to expect from this game. I might have to resort to YouTube, like you suggested, Steph, because I just don't know if I have the time management skills.
You've had a bit of a crazy year too. So
I've had a crazy year, and
yeah.
I have a busy couple of days ahead of me where I won't be able to play any video games, let alone a stressful one. So
Yeah.
I think I've set the record for most times saying stressful in one episode of Retro Encounter.
It's
I mean, it's a definitely a word that sums it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a newcomer to this game, and as somebody who didn't really know too much about it, other than it was kind of like a weird, unique JRPG that was not like the rest of the series, I am so glad I played this game. It's one of my favorite games that I've played this year. If you are looking for something different, I'd highly recommend it. Especially
you can't see the happy face I'm making right now just saying that. I'm like, oh my god, a fan.
Especially if for anybody here who likes Vagrant Story, loves Vagrant Story, this is the closest thing to a successor to Vagrant Story there ever was. And I really didn't realize that going in. Vagrant Story also is another game you could kind of call like Souls-like in some aspects, especially like having like the whole solitary character. But everything about the structure of this game, down to like going down like repetitive hallways through like very bleak environments, like knowing how to space around like a given room being kind of a thing to consider alongside when you're going to attack an enemy and what attacks to use. And even like the way that the cutscenes are shot, which is like we were talking about, that cool mix of just like kind of like static, aesthetically pleasing shots and like kind of more dynamic like camera angles and things like that, but it almost has like this like comic booky sort of tone to it, where it's like you're still not getting any voice acting, you're still getting like in-engine cutscenes, you're still getting like kind of written dialogue.
The written dialogue is sometimes shaped like a speech bubble pointing to the appropriate character,
which looks exactly like Vagrant Story. I've no doubt
really.
that Ikahara was just loved Vagrant Story and said like, oh, instead of making Breath of Fire 5 like another standard JRPG, I'm gonna do my own thing with that. And also like the combo type battle systems where you can like equip skills and like chain attacks into each other. It's all like the same stuff.
Well, I mean, those were in the older Breath of Fire games as well. At least Breath of Fire 4 for sure. But yet this game is them deliberately taking a risk with Breath of Fire, just like a player taking risks all the time trying to play Breath of Fire for 5. But I'm not, again, I'm not sure I'll be able to finish it. And my favorite game that Ikehara worked on that I played this year is actually Street Fighter 6 and not Breath of Fire 5. But this is so unique and so specific that I'm already excited to play more of it. I hope I can get to the end, but we'll see how that goes. Listeners, I hope that you are, if not excited by this episode, at least intrigued. At least maybe I'll have some more stories of how many ways I've died for the next episode. But for now, we're gonna just
I think we'll
try.
talk story more next time. When
We'll talk more
get the
story.
picture.
Again, we introduced Lynn, Nina, Bosch, and Ryu, but we'll talk about them and more next episode, and hopefully
Yeah.
at least one of us will have seen the sky by then. But so listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Steph, and you, Alex, for joining me on this episode. Now I guess I've played every Breath of Fire game other than the failed mobile game, but I'm just I'm excited and also slightly dreading going back to this one. But but let's talk about some cozier RPGs now, because the next episodes after these episodes are going to be 2 episodes on Rhapsody: A Musical Adventure. That is our
That'll be such a nice palate
that will
cleanser.
be an
Holy shit.
incredible change in tone and difficulty from this game.
That game is like literally too easy, which is something I said when I was a little girl and it came out.
You know, right now, when I'm as a 37-year-old man, that sounds fine.
Right? I know. I'm an adult. I'm like, you know what? I can deal with too easy right now.
But also in October, we're doing an episode on Dragon. We're doing an episode on Dragon Quest. We have a special guest coming from that episode who is the co-host of a Dragon Quest podcast. So there's going to be a lot of Dragon Quest speculation and discussion in that episode, but that is a different DQ than the one that we played today.
Dairy Queen.
Exactly, yeah. We're doing an episode only about our favorite Blizzards and Blizzard-like menu items. The Peanut Buster Parfait is underrated. Banana Splits,
Barfait.
overrated.
Ice spells are best spells.
Barfait sounds like some sort of like kids book about like gross food,
no.
you know, that makes all the kids laugh.
Oh
you
boy,
know?
it's like the stinky cheese, man.
Yeah, it's a stinky cheese.
It's probably what the kids eat in Dragon Quarter.
Oh no.
How to eat fried worms. Yeah.
Okay.
definitely
Okay. It's definitely
Where's
time.
the-
If we're
where's the
talking about
warm
if we're talking about barfays and fried worms, it's definitely time to end the episode.
So wait, is there like fox people and dog people? Where are the worm people? Just, like,
Great
wiggle
question.
out.
I think there are mole mole people, aren't there?
Oh,
Yeah.
we didn't even talk about the fairies.
Oh no,
Yeah.
The
yeah,
whole
no.
fairy minigame.
Yeah, we have a lot of fairies and ants to
Ants.
discuss in the next
We didn't even
episode.
talk about
God, I
that.
love those ants.
The music there is so jolly. Like at least they have a good amount of like happy music. to
I do
counter
not
all
like the
moody
giant
music.
ant that ambushed me and the ants that double their attack power before chasing after you. Those
Oh, yeah.
whatever. There's good ants and bad ants in this game. But listeners, if you want to ask us about Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter or Dragon Quest or other DQs like Dairy Queen or your favorite ants, you can always email us retro@rpgfan.com. Retro Encounter is only one of 3 of podcasts on RPG Fan. There's also Random Encounter every 2 weeks about what games we're playing and randomness, and Rhythm Encounter every other 2 weeks about RPG music and rhythmness. RPG Fan is also can be found as either RPG Fan or RPG Fancom on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, YouTube, Twitch, Threads, Blue Sky ? Not sure, but we're always either RPG Fan or RPG Fancom. Another way to interact with RPG Fan is to buy our merch. If you go to rpgfan.com/shop, there you can buy mugs and phone cases and apparel emblazoned with the RPG Fan Emerald Shield. And also, we would love if you were to review Retro Encounter or our other fine podcasts on either Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or however you listen. Give us all the feedback that you are willing to, especially if it's positive. But Steph and Alex, let's tell the listeners how they can find us as individuals and not just as a podcast, especially if they want to talk Breath of Fire. Starting with you, Steph.
If you want to talk to me about my interests like Breath of Fire or Dairy Queen ice cream, you could reach me most places.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to call Dairy Queen ice cream. They always call their food frozen dairy treats because it doesn't have enough milk, fat, or butter fat to be called ice cream.
I could have sworn I saw one of the fast food places like it calls it sandwiches instead of hamburgers or whatever. Anyways, my name is Dice SMS everywhere. So like dice, like playing dice, and the letters SMS. I talk video games. I draw pictures. I also talk movies, but you know this is a video game moment right now. So yeah, come follow me.
Now, Alex, how can listeners find you?
Yeah, my like I said, my D ratio isn't very high, but if you really do want to contact me, you could do so at alexfraniczek@gmail.com.
And listeners, you've probably heard me say this upwards of 200 times, but I am most easily found on Twitter at @TheRealMonsoon. I am Sollosi on Blue Sky and on
It's X.
don't you dare.
I know. You're telling me.
The only X I believe in is Mega Man X.
So true.
Hey.
Xenoblade X.
I still haven't played that one. I never owned a Wii U. Yeah, I know.
You did.
About the same number of people that owned a PlayStation Vita. So you know, whichever one of those you want to insult, you can compare it to the other. But or also on Discord, I'm Monsoon Mike. Yeah, my D ratio needs improvement in this. I'm not sure I've died well enough to get it better than 4096. But yeah, you can listen to us struggle next week. Thank you, good night, and good luck.